Part 125. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1254. Oh. Yanj was eating obediently. Xiao Tong, who was at the same table, also came up, and when she saw Yanj eating, she came over in surprise. Wow, what did you eat, Chen Yan? Although Xiao Tong said so, his eyes have been secretly looking at Li Feng. Yan Ji noticed her gaze, and introduced her generously. This is Li Feng. Xiao Tong saw Li Feng's eyes raised and smiled brightly. Brother Li, it really is you. I thought I knew the wrong person. I'm Lu Fan's sister. I have seen you before. Are you early? Just forget who I am. The little girl blushed and looked at Li Feng's eyes brightly. Yan Ji bowed his head and continued to eat meals. She heard Li Feng say Then there is no more text. Li Feng didn't speak, but Xiao Tong didn't mean to stop. He continued to say to Li Feng with great interest, Brother Li, I heard my brother talk about you. You are really amazing, my idol. I am so big, I have never chased a star idol, and my favorite person is you, and you are my love bean. Brother Li, I pray that you will be safe every time. I didn't expect to see you here. She probably knows that there are very few chances to meet Li Feng, and this time may be the only opportunity she can only seize, so she will be so enthusiastic and crazy. Li Feng looked up and glanced at her. Did you eat? Xiao Tong's eyes were happy. I just climbed up, I was exhausted, I haven't eaten yet. Li Feng, then you go eat it? Xiao Tong. Li Feng stopped talking about Xiao Tong when he finished speaking. He clipped all his favorite dishes in his lunch box to Yanj. Seeing Yanj eating slowly, he asked, Want to drink some porridge? Yanj shook his head. The panic, I don't want to eat anymore. Li Feng, I eat the ones you like, and I don't like the rest. Yan Ji has nothing to like or dislike, but Li Feng said so. She picked something, and then handed the lunch box to Li Feng. I won't eat anymore. Xiao Tong on the side said quickly, Brother Li, haven't you eaten enough, and I also have snacks, otherwise you can eat something. Li Feng, no. Xiao Tong stepped forward and stood next to Yanj. Chen Yan, how do you know Brother Li? I have never heard you say it. She didn't wait for the song to respond, and she said excitedly, Chen Yan, do you know what Li brother is doing? Li brother is really very powerful. You let him carry you, it's really overkill. Really Yan Ji didn't care much. Then you told him not to carry me. I was carried by him all the way, and my hurts a lot. It's cheap and sell well. Xiao Tong covered her mouth and laughed, looking at Li Feng with big eyes. Brother Li, are you chasing Chen Yan? I'm at the same table of Chen Yan. Would you like me to help you in front of Chen Yan? Sentence. Li Feng, you don't have to be our light bulb here. Xiao Tong. She turned her head and looked at Yanj with a smile. Chen Yan, don't you think I'm a light bulb? Yan Ji met her eyes and said, Aren't you going to set up a tent? Xiao Tong exclaimed, I was so excited to see Brother Li that I forgot about the tent. She said nothing, and looked pitifully at Li Feng. Brother Li, can you help me set up a tent? After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1255. No, Li Feng said, I only serve my own woman. There was no euphemism in his voice. He was sharp and even disgusted with that idea. Xiao Tong's eyelashes trembled. But I'm not a woman, Brother Li, I'm your friend's sister. For my brother's sake, can you help me? If it is for your brother's sake, I can break up with your brother now. Li Feng frowned, and his eyes were already impatient. I won't help you, I don't want to say the third time. Xiao Tong shrank her head and hurt her face. She tried to find some comfort in Yan Ji, but she lowered her head while playing with her mobile phone, and clearly did not mean to help her speak. She bit her lip and said sadly, "Brother Li, although you are fierce, but I still like you and worship you unconditionally. I will not change you because of this matter." When she was finished, she turned her head and ran away sadly. "Want to take a look at the glass path?" Li Feng asked the words, "It's good to be full." His expression of tone was not affected at all by Xiao Tong just now. Yan Ji nodded, "Okay." Li Feng packed everything into the tent, locked the tent, and squatted in front of Yanj. "Come up." Yan Ji busy said, "I can go this way." "Come up, or I'll carry you, or I'll hold you." This tone is not firm. Yanj had no choice but to climb on his back. Probably felt that his tone was too cold, Li Feng took a few steps to explain, "The road on the mountain is uneven." "Yanj, the road is uneven, I can't rely on you forever." Li Feng did not expect that Yanj would respond suddenly. "Fortunately, he is already prepared. I may not live when you are old, but as long as I live, as long as I am not in the army, I will do my best to protect you." Brother Li Yan Ji bowed his head, his chin froze over his head, "Only you can protect yourself, not others." After she said this, she could clearly feel that Li Feng's body was shaking. But this is true. Yan Ji felt that Li Feng knew this very well. However, it is probably not reconciled, so now it will be redundant. There will be no next time. Li Feng hugged Yan Ji's two legs tightly, his voice almost like an oath, "There will be no next time." "Brother Li, I haven't blame you," Yanj said softly, "I know you don't blame you. I hope you don't blame yourself. You are already very powerful, you are the pride and faith of many people. You don't need to blame yourself, it's not to blame you. If you can't blame him, how can he not feel guilty?" Li Feng opened his mouth, but couldn't say anything. The more she did, the more painful his heart was. He actually preferred that she beat him and scold him rather than comfort him like that. On the glass trestle, many students were already on it. Everyone screamed loudly, and some people sat down on the ground directly, and they needed to be dragged by their classmates to continue to move forward. Yan Feng was put down from his back by Li Feng. He bent over to help her put on her feet. Yan Ji was about to go forward, and her hand was held by Li Feng. She looked down at Li Feng's tightly wrapped hand, and without resistance, the two walked together onto the glass path. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1256. Li Feng has been staring at Yanj's expression. He thought that if she was afraid, he would hold her in his arms for the first time, covering her eyes, so that she would not be afraid. Singing at the valley below the glass path, there was no fear on his face. She climbed on the railing and said to Li Feng, "This place has a beautiful scenery." She did not wait for Li Feng to respond and continued to say, "Brother Li, are you standing here and listening to the screams around you, do you feel very naive?" Li Feng, "No. Yes, these men and women are too naive and don't know what the real fear is," but it reminded him of the words of sorrowing for new words in the poem he learned as a kid. But no matter where she is, he is willing to stay with her. Yanj walked forward, "I feel quite naive, and the real fear is more horrible than this." Li Feng's heart was sore, he squeezed her hand, followed her, and responded to her words in this way. Leaving from the glass path, the two made a circle around the highest peak of the mountain before returning to the tent. The students are playing games in a circle. Upon seeing the return of Yanj, Xiao Tong immediately waved to Yanj, "Chen Yan, you and Li brother will also play together. The game of truthful adventure is fun." The voice was enthusiastic, as if nothing had happened before. The classmates were also coaxing and let Yanj sit with Li Feng. In a short time, they looked at Li Feng differently. Probably Xiao Tong and their science popularized Li Feng. Yanj asked Li Feng, do you want to play? You like it, let's go. Yan Ji shook his head, I don't like it, it's too naive. She sat outside the tent and took her cell phone to play the game of Dispel Music. Her classmates invited her several times, but they couldn't move. They went to Li Feng one by one. The main goal of these students is actually Li Feng. They want to hear Li Feng talk about things in the army. However, Li Feng did not hesitate to leave the words, naturally he was unwilling to take care of these hairy boys. Brother Li, you can tell us about the life in the barracks. The students now are very new to the soldiers. You can also help you build patriotic feelings by telling you. After several study committee members ran over a few times, Xiao Tong also appeared as the finale. She looked at Li Feng with a pair of eyes and a longing and begging expression. Li Feng didn't even look at her, don't bother me anymore. Brother Li Xiao Tong looked at Wang Xianjun for help, Chen Yan, persuade Li brother, this is actually a good thing. Yanj looked up and looked at Xiao Tong with a smile, did you just say that Li Feng is your neighbor's brother, have you been particularly good with you since you were a kid? You can't persuade him, let alone me. Xiao Tong's face turned red. So far apart, Xiao Tong did not expect that Yanj and Li Feng could hear her words clearly to her classmates. She bowed her head, moved her feet unnaturally, and said to Li Feng, Brother Li, I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak like that, but I, in my heart, have always treated you like the elder brother next door. Li Feng interrupted her, go back. He doesn't like to talk, and he doesn't speak well. To the little girl in front of him, Li Feng had exhausted his patience, his face was indifferent, and his voice was like a knife. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1257. Xiao Tong flinched in fright. She bit her lip and didn't speak again, turning away with tears in her eyes. The squad leader asked Xiao Tong, what's going on, Xiao Tong, why didn't that officer come? Xiao Tong whispered, he said that he wanted to accompany Chen Yan and couldn't get away. Let Chen Yan come together. Xiao Tong bowed his head in embarrassment, Chen Yan doesn't want to come over. What kind of character does she have? You still don't know. The crowd started talking in a rush. Chen Yan had a problem with her leg. When she first came to the class, everyone had a lot of enthusiasm and compassion for her. But soon everyone felt that although this girl looked good, she was too indifferent and lonely, and no one could talk to her. Therefore, in the eyes of everyone, I feel that Yanj is arrogant and disdain to talk to everyone. I don't know who said it, the orphans whose parents are dead and have no relatives or friends, it is normal for their tempers to be like this. Alas, for those who have no tutor, this is probably the case, no matter how beautiful you are, it is a vase. Immediately after this man's words were spoken, his shoulders were suddenly choked. He who was sitting on the floor was raised and his feet were off the ground. Who do you say is an orphan whose parents have died and have no relatives or friends? Carrying his Li Feng, although his voice seemed cold and indifferent, it could be heard in human ears, but he felt cold and his heart was shaking. The boy struggled several times and couldn't get rid of it, and the big hand holding him almost crushed his shoulders. He was sweating in pain and hurriedly said, it's Xiao Tong, I listen to Xiao Tong. Li Feng threw the person out, his eyes fell on Xiao Tong, his eyes were cold and sharp as broken ice, Chen Yan and I grew up with me, I haven't even known you as a stranger, but you said that where did it come from? Xiao Tong quickly shook his head, my brother told me, my brother asked me to take care of Chen Yan, brother Li, you misunderstood me. Li Feng sneered, the grandparents who spoke were soldiers, the father was a police officer, and the mother was also a soldier. Her family is all glorious for the country. Even if she has no father or mother, it is because her family has died for the country. Behind her gossip choreographed her. Li Feng glanced at this circle of people, What do you want to know about the country and the army? It is better to respect the family members of those soldiers. I am a fiancé of Chen Yan. If you dare to say bad things about her, I will teach you what is truly patriotic. He had a powerful voice, striking every word with a hammer like a hammer. After all, they are still students, where they have encountered any strong winds and waves, and they are all scared and tight, and they have nodded, and no one dares to speak again. After Li Feng said, he turned and left. He took a roundabout on the top of the mountain with his words. At night the two people slept in a double sleeping bag. Li Feng sang his words in his arms. In the darkness, his eyes shattered like light on Yan Ji's face. Although Yan Ji closed her eyes, she did not fall asleep. She could feel that Li Feng's gaze was always on her face. With her hands on her belly, she remained motionless. Li Feng probably also said clearly that the song was not asleep. He asked softly, "Is this the same posture, tired?" "It's okay, I'm used to it." Li Feng's other hand was on Yan Ji's waist, trying to make Yan Ji sleep on the side. "Don't always sleep like this, change your posture." After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1258. The words were motionless. Li Feng couldn't push her, she could only stop. Yanj didn't pretend to sleep anymore. In such an environment, it was very suitable for chatting. She said, "Brother Li, I don't want to marry you." Li Feng's body was stiff. In fact, he had expected that she would say this. "I can really hear it, but still feel terribly uncomfortable." His throat rolled. "Sujuke," said, "Okay." The voice was hoarse and astringent, but firm and calm. It seemed that he was telling her with such an attitude that he would not perfunculate her words. She didn't want to marry, so she wouldn't marry. He will not force her. He respects her thoughts. Yanj knows that this is a smart person. It never takes a brain to talk to a wise man. So she went on to say, "You don't have to do this kind of thing for me anymore, it's inappropriate, and I don't like it." But Li Feng remembered that she used to look forward to his vacation and to take her out to play. She always wanted to watch the sunrise with him. Now he had a fake and took her out, but she said she didn't like it. "Okay," Li Feng responded without hesitation, "I won't." He paused and said, "Do you have anything else to do?" "What I want to do, I will do it myself," Yan Ji said in a sincere voice. "Brother Li, people always grow up. I'm growing up now, thank you for taking care of me before." "We haven't taken care of you," Li Feng suddenly interrupted the words of the song. "Words, you have always been sensible, I am sorry for you." In the dark, Yanj put his hand on his mouth and said, "You have never been sorry to me. It was me who was weak, selfish, and self-interested, and shrank halfway. Brother Li, don't say sorry to me again, you will make me even more guilty, even more sad." She has small hands and a soft palm. He wanted to kiss him, but his lips were stiff, and under such a soft touch, he could not make any sound. She had a small voice and said, "Brother Li, sleep, I'm sleepy." Li Feng couldn't sleep. After waiting for her breathing to calm down, he got up and went outside the tent. The mountain tops were a bit cold at night. The coldness slammed on him, but it did not destroy his boiling heart like a heart burned by the fire. He took a few steps and saw a few boys smoking nearby, so in the past he asked for a cigarette. These boys are classmates of Yanj. These boys secretly looked at Li Feng curiously. Due to Li Feng's previous domineering side leak, even if they were curious, they were afraid to answer Li Feng. One of the boys whispered to Li Feng, "My dad is a police officer. He died because of work last year. Li, you can rest assured, who dares to bully Chen Yan, I will fight back." "Thank you," Li Feng said, "no need to fight, just tell me." He left his cell phone number to the boy. Li Feng sat outside all night. At sunrise, he went to the tent and wrapped Yanj tightly out of the tent. Sitting on big rocks together and watching the sun rise. Fans rubbed their eyes and asked Li Feng, "Did you sleep last night?" Li Feng replied, "I probably changed places and couldn't sleep. He is a soldier, wherever he needs to run and where to change, I do and know how many places to change." But Yanj did not poke him, but said, "Sunrise is better than expected." Okay. Brother Li, we will all get better in the future. Okay. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 1259. After watching the sun rise, Li Feng packed his tent and went down the mountain carrying his words. One day and one night, the snack fruit and water have been eaten. Going down the mountain is much easier than going up the mountain. Yan Ji was sitting on Li Feng's back. For a moment, he felt a little sad in his heart. A man like Li Feng shouldn't be a lonely ending. He should have a better woman, and he should have a very happy and beautiful home. But she, selfish and cowardly, couldn't care about Li Feng, she just wanted her host to be better. Breakfast was eaten at the snack street outside the military compound. Like a child, Yan Ji eats tofu brain foam fritters, and Li Feng eats cold noodles and meat buns. After the two had finished eating, they slowly walked towards the courtyard. Li Feng said to Yanj, "Call me in time for anything. If you can't reach me, call my parents. It is good. Don't be stubborn. Although you have grown up, in my eyes you are still a little princess. It is good. In words, even if you don't want to be with me in the future, you can't alienate me. If anything, you must tell me the first time. It is good." Li Feng was finally dissatisfied, "Only good. This word sounds like perfunctory." Yanj laughed, his eyes softened, "In my heart, Li is the closest person. If you have any questions, I will tell you the first time." Okay. He sent Yanj to the door. Although Yanj opened the door, he said to him, "Brother Li, go back. Ants, they definitely want to get together with you and them." Okay. Li Feng didn't leave. He stood in place for a while, before he couldn't understand the words, he said, "Words, would you like to go back with me?" Yanj shook his head, "I didn't sleep well last night, but I was still asleep, so I won't go there. I'll make up for it during the weekend." Li Feng reached out and rubbed his black hair, "Okay, tell me if I'm hungry at noon." Yanj nodded with a smile, "Okay." All her pity for this guy vanished when he touched her head. Hemp eggs deserve a single life. After taking a bath, Yanj got into the bed. Going to sleep comfortably for a day. But tossed and failed to fall asleep. Li Feng did not sleep all night last night, but she did sleep well. Unable to sleep, Song had to get up and continue playing darts. After playing for a while, I felt boring. I just turned on the computer and started playing. Since she wants to be a cyber policeman who wins with technology, from now on, she has to cultivate her habit of loving computers. Speaking of which, there are 365 champions, and there are many types of police officers. She can't be a drug police in the father's business, but she can inherit her parents in another way. Yanj turned on the computer and turned on the news report of the death of the host's parents. The conclusion was a car accident. The host also always thought it was a car accident. However, Yan Ji heard Li Feng's words last night, but he subconsciously felt that the accident was a bit wrong. There is limited information available on the internet. Regarding Chen's life, he listed a few major drug trafficking cases, all of which were surrounded by Chen's father. Yanj searched the people associated with these cases one by one. Several drug traffickers are repeatedly in jail and released to continue their old careers. Yanj has a good memory, and after passing through all these news and materials, there is a little sign in my heart. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1260. Yan Ji couldn't sleep, so he went downstairs and bought some fruits and took a taxi to the house of an old colleague of his father. Drug police are a high-risk occupation in the police industry. Chen Fu's old colleague named Lao Su was cut off by a drug dealer because of his hand. He retreated from the front line of the anti-drug police a year ago and now manages information in the archives room. He was cooking at home when Yanj went. Mrs. Lao's wife works in shifts. Today happened to go to work. His son went to college in another city and did not return home. I probably didn't expect Yanj to come to see him. Lao Su was very excited. He took Yanj for lunch and didn't say anything. During the period, he kept talking about those things when he went to the police with his father. When it was time to leave, Yanj seemed to remember, and suddenly asked Lao Su, "My parents, did they really die in a car accident? Didn't they get revenge?" When she asked, Lao Su was motionless as if he had been acupunctured. I opened my mouth and made no sound, but tears came to my eyes. Words, "These things, do nt ask or care about them, although you call me an uncle, but in the eyes of a few of us, you and there is no difference in my girlfriend, we will have an account of your father's affairs sooner or later. This is all too clear." I see Yan Ji nodded. These people apparently hid the host, and she looked at Lao Su very well. "I'll check it myself." Lao Su's face was blocked by the words, and he quickly said, in words, "Don't get involved in this matter, you will fight against the grass, and those people are all desperate people, you little girl, don't mess around." Yanj laughed at him. "Uncle Su, if you are worried that I am alarming those people because of my own indiscriminate investigation, or those people will get revenge on me, tell everyone who is implicated in this matter." Old Su Vinian, looking at Yanj with complex eyes, sighed for a long time. "This matter, Li Feng also knows, you can ask him if he is okay." "Not good," Yanj said, "I only trust Uncle Su in this matter." Old Su sighed. He was afraid that Yanj, a little girl who knew nothing about heights, would really recklessly inquire about it, and only vaguely offended those criminals who had offended Chen's father that year. He kept his eyes open and didn't name him. What was unexpected was that whenever he said, Yanj would immediately point out who it was and what cases he had committed in recent years. When the old Su was shocked, the stormy sea was breaking, and when the song was gone, he begged to say again and again, "You must not inquire about this matter. Those people are extremely vicious. Once they know your identity, they can do everything can do it." Yan Ji nodded, and his voice was a little more solemn. "Uncle Su, what new progress can you tell me?" Old Su repeatedly nodded, okay, no problem." As soon as Yan Ji left, Lao Su called Li Feng as soon as possible. As soon as Yanj got into the taxi, Li Feng's phone number came in. She answered the phone, and the man on the other side asked in a deep voice, "Where?" "Yanj, I can't sleep. I went to see Uncle Su with the fruit. I just got in the car and got home." "What happened?" "Li Feng, I brought you meals outside your house." "Song, don't you have the keys to my house?" "Li Feng, I'm afraid you will cut me again with a knife." Words of song. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gongwei Pang. Chapter 1261. Yanj, go in, I'm not at home, I can only go back to chop. Li Feng, well, then you come back quickly, the food is still hot. Words, okay. She hung up the phone and did not return immediately, but instead went to visit another colleague of Chen's father before leaving. Li Feng called her twice during this period. When she returned to the compound, when she arrived at the gate of the compound, she saw Li Feng striding towards her. Yanj asked him, "Brother Li, are you going out?" Li Feng frowned, and looked up and down, come out to pick you up. During the talk, he had stretched out his hand and held up Yan Ji's arm. Yanj laughed, after so many years, how can I not find it? Li Feng pursed his lips, but did not speak. As soon as I entered the house, it was the taste of the meal. At about noon when Li's family ate, I also made a copy for Yanj. Yan Ji washed his hands before sitting at the table. I ate something at Mr. Su Bobo's house. I'm not too hungry. I can't eat so much. Brother Li, you can have something to eat together. Li Feng nodded, pulled the chair and sat opposite Yan Ji. Although he picked up the chopsticks, he didn't eat much. Yan Ji took a few bites symbolically, and then rubbed his belly. I'm full of Li, brother. Li Feng also lowered his chopsticks, stood up, packed the chopsticks, and went to the kitchen. Brother Li, I'll wash. No, you sit and rest for a while. Yan Ji didn't sit, she stood at the door of the kitchen, staring at Li Feng, who bent down slightly to wash the dishes. Standing close to a height of 1 meter and 9 meters, Li stood in the kitchen. The empty kitchen seemed crowded immediately. When he stooped to wash the dishes, the whole man looked particularly aggrieved. Yanj thinks he may not have brushed a bowl in Li's house. Leaning at the door, she asked, why did you suddenly take a month off? Li Feng didn't look up, and said quietly, well, I haven't had any tasks in the past month, so I rested. Yan Ji no longer asked, turned to the living room and began to exercise his legs. Not long after Li Feng came out, his eyes fell on Yan Ji's legs, his expression was complicated. Until the end of a set of rehabilitation exercises for Yanj, Li Feng handed the towel to Yanj, looked at Yanj, who wiped his face, and said softly, say, let's talk. Yanj wiped her face and answered, okay. She went to the bathroom and washed her face. Then she came out and sat on the sofa, pointing to the side. Brother Li, you sit, too. Li Feng, a tall man, sat down on the sofa, as if the whole sofa had been crushed. Yan Ji looked at him with his long legs as he was curled up on the sofa, and he couldn't help but feel happy. Li Feng keenly felt the emotional change of Yanj and asked, what's wrong? Yanj pointed to his leg, it feels like you are sitting on my sofa like a schoolboy standing on the classroom table. Li Feng really didn't understand the connection between the two. He felt a little bit lost in his mind. He seemed to have a generation gap with her. But there was no expression on the face, and the calm voice said to Yanj, what are you going to do with Lao Su today? Yanj, Uncle Su should tell you all, why do you still ask me? Li Feng. He looked as usual and continued to ask, words, you haven't mentioned it before. Previously simple and naive Yan Ji met his gaze and did not dodge. Now I'm grown up. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1262. Her words made people feel sad. Li Feng knew that she was fooling her with child-speaking words. He reached out and rubbed his head with the words, I've been following this up, you believe me, I will give it to Chen Bobo explain to you. Yanj endured and didn't clap his hands, did you take this vacation because of this? Li Feng looked for a moment, but immediately he said, no. He looked at the words, his voice mute, I'm on vacation for you. Yan Ji said nothing, she slightly raised her head and looked at Li Feng. There was a shallow layer of water in the eyes, and the black and white eyes were clear and pure, without any worldly dust. The beautiful people don't even dare to have a touch of closeness, for fear of tarnishing her. Li Feng's hand above her head slowly retracted. He whispered, wait a moment, okay, I will give my uncle an account. No. Yan Ji's long eyelashes fluttered, she blinked and smiled softly at Li Feng, brother Li, It doesn't matter if you want to tell me, but I can't wait for others. The answer came to me and I will check it myself. Before Li Feng spoke, she added, Brother Li, I'm not used to waiting anymore. She said she was not used to waiting any longer, and Li Feng's heart felt dull and painless at this moment. He didn't even have the courage to confront her at this moment. All the rigidity became dull pain. But he still looked at her, his throat rolled, and whispered, words, believe me this time, okay, me, I will not let you down again. I have always believed in you, and you have never let me down. Brother Li, in my eyes, you are a person worthy of admiration and admiration. In this matter, you do not want me to intervene, I cannot ask you, but I have to check it myself. Those people are desperate people. Li Feng slammed the hands of Yanj, his low voice even meant begging, words, you believe me once, only this time, if this time I can't do it, then you will try again. Yanj shook his head, you have your thoughts, and I have my responsibility. Brother Li, I respect your thoughts, but I will not change my thoughts. Don't persuade me, it's useless. She is not the little Jiao Jiao who could only listen to him then. He was aware of the problem long ago. But he never expected that she would feel distressed by her persistence as now. He remained silent for a long time. Yanj grabbed the remote control and turned on the TV. She heard the people around her say, words, do you still hate what I didn't do to save you? Yan Song didn't look back, his voice was sharp, never hated it, this is not to blame you, Brother Li, if you have this idea, you should go to a psychologist. This is not your fault, and you have no responsibility at all, you should not feel guilty or blame yourself. Then, do you listen to me once, okay, this time, listen to me. His voice really begged. Yanj interrupted him, Brother Li, I hope you can support me and respect my decisions and ideas. I have such a thought, and I am willing to crush my bones for this purpose. I have the worst intentions, never to be willful, even I didn't succeed, but as long as I did, I felt that I would be relieved to die. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 1263. Yan Ji stared at the TV, and the voice continued to say, Brother Li, the death of a person is light or heavy. I think I die because of such a thing, it is better than silently dying in a certain boat. She said that, in fact, was a bit excessive. After all, Li Feng's heart disease failed to save the host. Sure enough, when she said so, Li Feng's face became a guilt expression. He sat there blankly, waiting for Yanj to get up and pour some boiled water to drink. He suddenly stood up, staring nervously at Yanj. The expression on his face was like a student waiting for the teacher to take a spot check. He asked in a tense voice, You, where are you going? Yanj looked inexplicable, I'm thirsty, and I'll drink some water. Brother Li, what will you drink? Is it boiling water? Li Feng immediately strode to the water dispenser, I'll pour it for you. He poured a glass of water on Yanj. The cup in his hand was a couple-style porcelain cup that Chen Yan had bought, but his cup was broken by his sister long ago. Many things seem to have been forgotten, and I don't know why. Then he suddenly remembered. He remembered that long time ago, she always looked at him with confidence, and when she looked at him, her eyes looked like the whole world. But then he failed her. Live up to her trust. Lived up to her expectations. Yes, he finally made up his mind and said softly, I'll tell you everything, but you have to listen to me, okay? I won't listen to you, I will do things according to my own judgment. I think you are right, I will listen to you, otherwise I will not listen. Sorry Brother Li, I can't give you such a guarantee. In fact, you don't need to tell me. I can check it by myself. I am my father's daughter. It is related to my loved ones. Even if it is difficult, I will check it a little bit. Li Feng looked at her firm, confident and arrogant expression, and for a long time he didn't speak. Yanj drank water, but did not sit in front of the TV. She sat at the computer and turned it on. Li Feng walked behind her and asked softly, "What do you want to know now?" "I will tell you all, but can you tell me what you are going to do when you act, and discuss it with me?" Yan Ji nodded, "Okay." The two then sat on the balcony. Li Feng said, listening to the words and telling the whole story of the Chen family's accident. The police department didn't speculate that this was a retaliatory incident. Just no evidence. After all, Chen's father solved several drug lords. These people are all possible. Several are still in prison, and some have already gone out of prison early. Without evidence, it would not be possible to determine that this was a man-made event, and it was impossible to define Chen father as a martyr. Li Feng has always been in touch with those of Chen's father and has been following up on the matter. Yan Ji waited until Li Feng finished saying, "You are back this time because of this." This was the second time she asked him. Li Feng looked up and looked at the pair of transparent eyes of Shang Yanj. In the end, nodded slowly. "A suspected drug lord has dived recently and got news. Li Feng and Lao Su are both waiting for the opportunity." "Yanj, where are others now?" Li Feng did not respond this time, but looked at the words. Sudden silence swept through. The two seemed to be deadlocked.